Hello, hello. This is Kim Addis from Frame of Mind Coaching, and you have just joined the Frame of Mind Coaching podcast. So, I'm going to try something new today. I was on this mastermind session, maybe last week, on podcasting, and I had a talk with a handful of people who were all really, really interested in building their podcast, making it better, increasing their effectiveness, reaching wider audiences. And the biggest feedback that I got from this group was, if you're a coach, why aren't you coaching on your podcast? And I had all kinds of excuses, things like, well, I'm not sure people are going to want to tell their stories in person, online, live. I'm not sure people are going to want to get so vulnerable. I'm just not sure if that's feasible. And I said, you know what? I'll think about it. And like 30 seconds after this mastermind session was over, there was a beautiful, wonderful person from this mastermind group who reached out to me. She's my guest today. Her name is Rosa Collado. And she said, I'll be your client. Coach me on your podcast. And I said, okay, let's try it. So Rosa, welcome. It is my absolute pleasure to have you on this podcast and have you be my first official podcast coaching client. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate you allowing me to be part of this. I'm very excited and nervous, but more excited than nervous.
Okay, so let's tell people a little bit about you. And by the way, like as I learn about Rosa, you're learning about Rosa. So we're on this journey together. So you live in New York. You're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing real estate for?
So real estate full time, I've been doing it now. I'm going to have 4 years in September.
Okay, and how's that going for you?
It's going very well. I'm doing phenomenal, and because I've never thought I will be at this level. Last year, I was able to speak in front of 220 individuals, telling them about my journey and how they can go ahead and sell their homes. And I've been able to sell over $33 million in real estate, which is a lot here just in Queens. And I have two people that are working underneath me right now. They're realtors as well, and I'm teaching them how to be buyer agents. And I have an administrative assistant helping me.
Okay, so you already have a team.
Yes.
Okay. And when we spoke earlier, you said, I'm kind of thinking about how to grow my business. And one of the questions you were asking is, do I want to grow the team or do I want to go solo? Was that the question?
Yeah.
So why is that the question? You already have a team. What's going
So in my
wrong?
mind, what's going on is that I have these two girls that are amazing, yet they don't have that drive like I do. So that to me is more of, it's holding me back a little bit because I have to stop working to train them. And that's where for me, I'm like, do I want to do that, spend that time training someone and really motivating them and inspiring them to work? Or do I want to focus on myself and continue to grow and just leverage more?
Okay. So here's a question for you. Okay. We're going to split the question up into two parts. Forget about these particular people. Okay. Forget about this team of two for a brief moment and ask yourself a question. How much can you grow by yourself? So in other words, think about any business owner who reaches, multi-millions in sales, let's call it. Can that person achieve that goal by themselves alone? Ever?
But that, no.
Okay. So the question is, because you had two questions, should I do it alone or should I build a team? Right. So we know that you have certain goals. I don't even know what they are, but I can hear that they're very big and you're very driven. And so you have certain goals. And so really, can you reach those goals by yourself? It's unlikely, right? Because
Right.
if you try to do everything yourself, you're not leveraging the resources around you. Does that make sense? So if you have these massive goals, you kind of want to build the right people around you. Now there's another question. Are these the right people?
So for me right now, they're not.
Okay. So let me kind of back up a little bit. My feeling is that every time we have a problem to confront, that problem is a reflection of a set of beliefs we have.
Mm.
Okay. So let's explore some of these beliefs and let's see if they make any sense. And I'm going to try to guess some of the beliefs you have. So one belief you have is that the people on my team must be as driven as I am. Is that a belief?
That's 100% correct. Yes.
Okay. So here's my question. Do you think that anyone who's as driven as you is going to want to be underneath you?
Absolutely not. No.
Interesting. So you're attracting people who are comfortable being underneath you.
That's right.
Okay. So now the question is, if you want to attract people who are just as driven as you, is the arrangement that you have in place going to work for those kinds of people? Like, would you be happy being underneath a top performer?
So I was in a team prior and I did not. It was not something I wanted to do. I just felt I was doing a lot of work and no one around me was. And I didn't see the value that they were bringing over to me.
Okay. So it's a funny thing, right? So when you hire someone as driven as you, they don't want to stay under you,
Correct.
right? So now the question becomes, how much drive is necessary to be comfortable in the role of buyer's agent? Maybe what you have on your team isn't enough, but maybe it's not that far off.
That's a
Does,
good point.
does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
So the real question is, what do I envision for myself? And if I really, really want these highly driven go getters around me, then what's the setup? What's the arrangement? What's the partnership deal on the table that will keep them motivated and keep them here rather than go off and start their own thing? Right? So you have to decide what kind of business you want to run and what's important to you. Is it important to you to be at the top with people who are supporting you, who maybe don't have the same kind of drive, but are amazing in the role of support and are worth training? Or do you want to be surrounded with other Rosas who are equally go getting, crazy, amazing, but they might need a different financial arrangement to stay in your game?
I love that. I never thought of it that way.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Right? So when we get frustrated with something, the first thing we want to do is say, what do I believe to be true? So when you look at the team that you have, the beliefs that are popping up for you sound kind of like they should be more driven. They should have more buy in. I shouldn't have to work so hard to train them. And when you look at all those shoulds, should, shouldn't, all the shoulds, you want to dig in and really pay attention and say, is that true? And under what conditions will this work?
Mm,
Right? Because if you truly want to grow, I have not seen a single business owner who grows by doing all the work themselves,
I agree. That's
right?
true.
So then, if you know that you need to build a team around you, ask yourself, what kind of culture do I want? Who do I want to be surrounded with? Would it be okay for me to do a little training and build people up? Will I get loyalty if I do that? Or do I want more of a partnership where people will come to the table equally and we all share in the profits? And that's a totally different picture than people being under me. So, what actually do I really, really want?
That's a good question. I haven't thought of it that deep, right? For me, based on the girls and have them being underneath me, I feel for me that I prefer to have people that are they're either equal or I mean it's only one or the other, right? You're equal or you're below, and if they are a little bit below, then I have to bring them up, right? So in the time that I want to put in, for me, I do want to be able to surround myself around people that are kind of like me and saying, hey, this is a partnership. We're gonna both help each other. You're gonna contribute and I'm gonna contribute as well. You're gonna train me and I'm gonna train you.
So, that's a totally different picture from what you have.
That is a total different picture.
So, now there's another question for me. How long have you been working with these particular girls, or you call them girls, women?
Woman, this
Yeah.
beautiful woman. I've been working with them since January of this year, and then COVID hit. So
Right. So you feel like you took something on and then you're a little bit trapped in it now.
Now that I feel trapped, I feel that in January they both got deals, and they got these deals because it was more of, here it is, it's on your hand, and I just kind of gave it to them. I didn't really walk them through the process and say, here's someone's new, figure it out. I'll help you through it. It was more, I'm going to give something to you, and then I'm going to be on top of it, kind of like micromanaging. And then I said, okay, I'm going to let it go. Now it's February. You guys do it on your own. And they didn't do anything on February. And then March, they started a little bit. And then coronavirus hit here in New York. And then that stopped everything. And now they want to come and start working again. But they're not being responsive.
So it sounds like this. I'm going to give you an analogy. It sounds like you want them to learn how to ride a bike independently. And this is how you taught them. You said, okay, I'm going to ride for you. And now you're going to ride and I'm going to let go. And there's no training wheels. I'm not going to hold on to the back and run with you for a while. I'm just saying, here's the bike. Go do something with it.
Right.
Right. And they're like, I don't know what to do with this bike. Right. So is it a surprise that they're not really motivated?
Not at all. You're making me uncomfortable with the truth here.
So you have to look at the arrangement you have in place with these girls, women, right? With these women, and decide whether or not you put them in a situation where they were going to succeed.
Mm.
Whether you created an accurate and fair handoff process from your learning to them. If you set them up to go and do exactly what you wanted them to do, or if you just left them to their own devices and said, figure it out. Like, you have to decide, right? Whether you really created a system and a situation where it was easy and uh, where their success was consistent.
I have not set that up.
You have to decide if these are the people you want to put that effort into in with them.
And as I was listening to you, I'm even thinking, I mean, would I myself would like to be, me being new or being in the business for a year or two, would I want to be able to work with me, right? Not being myself the way that I'm running this. I absolutely not.
So, who do you have to be? What do you need to have in place in order for you to be the person that people want to work with and support and get motivated side by side with?
For me, I do have to be the person where I am working more, where I'm providing them more value, right? And how does value look like for them? It will be different, right? I can't just say, hey, here's the value. It will be, hey, having a conversation, a discovery conversations with them, and me knowing what is the values that I have to offer and see if that even works together. Because for me, it's like, oh, you want to work with me? Great. But if I had, what are my values in place, and share and say, hey, what are you looking for, right? What is a value for you working with me? And then see if I have those values. That's what I feel like I have to be, that type of person. Like write
Right.
them.
And you might learn that they're looking for a little more structure, or they're looking for a little more guidance, or they're looking for a little more tactics, or they're just looking for a little more appreciation. I don't know. Right?
Mhm.
We don't know what they're actually looking for.
That's a good, yeah, that's pretty good. It's having that open conversations where I'm asking them more questions
Right.
versus me assuming that I know what they need or want.
Right. So let's just kind of circle back. Now, you came in saying, I'm not sure if I want a team or I want to go solo. So one
Right.
of the things we discovered is, hey, with your goals, you probably need to have some kind of a team. The second thing you decided is, I want to be around people who are motivated and driven. And right now, there's a little bit of a gap there. It's not that these people aren't motivated and driven, but the setup I have in place isn't creating that experience. Not for me, not for them. So we still don't know if they're the right fit for you, but you're walking away knowing that you need to ask some questions about what it is that is required in order for them to perform the way you want them to, what they need from you and what you need from them. After which you get to decide whether or not this is the system that could work for you. It doesn't have to be the system, because you know that there are maybe other systems available where perhaps your partners in a different way, right? So other options are available. But for right now, we're sort of starting to get clarity on a few things and your next steps in the process. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. This was great.
Okay, so I love the fact that you were open. I love the fact that you came and you let me coach you. So thank you so, so much. But you know what I want to do? I want to still talk about something else, but we're going to record part two. Is that cool?
That's
So we're going
great.
to start again. So thank you so much, Rosa. If anybody is looking for property or looking for a real estate agent, how do they find you?
They can give me a call directly at my cell phone number, 917-833-0582, or they can go ahead and send me an email at soldbyrosac@gmail, or in my social media, just Google Rosa M. Collado. You'll find me there.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.